Good afternoon. My name is Marietje Schaake and I'm a member of the European Parliament with the Dutch Democratic Party, D66, and we're a member of the Alliance of Liberals and Democrats for Europe. I'm so sorry I cannot join you in person today, but of course I'm glad to share some of my thoughts through this video. This panel comes at a very timely moment. Reports of attacks on and via digital means are happening every day. And the Council just announced its so-called cyber diplomacy toolbox. The announcement included an explicit acknowledgement that the EU can impose economic sanctions as a potential response to cyber attacks. But besides this headline, there are a number of other statements in the announcement that are relevant for your discussion. The Council rightly confirmed the findings of the UN group of governmental experts that malicious cyber activities might constitute wrongful acts under international law. It also stressed that a joint EU response to malicious cyber activities should facilitate the mitigation of immediate and long-term threats and should influence the behavior of potential aggressors in the long term. It is essential that the security and the public at large are protected from attacks. Of course, these sound like motherhood and apple pie, but in reality, there are often very little consequences to cyber attacks at all. And what's worse is that governments themselves exacerbate risk and can cause a lack of security. So it is now time for EU member state governments to live up to their statements made. They need to make up their minds and determine which kind of infrastructure is needed as a basic foundation for our digital society and economy. For me, it is clear. We need robust digital infrastructure without any vulnerabilities that can be exploited by our adversaries, be it cyber criminals or hostile governments. We have so many examples of a boomerang effect. So what we do matters for how others can react. Decisions on how European governmental agencies can make use of offensive exploitations impact the actions of others. In Europe, the use of social media as a recruitment and propaganda tool by ISIS and the increasing amount of lone wolves attacks have created a momentum for European governments to actively adopt laws that prioritize national security over cybersecurity. The need to find and prevent terrorism is seen as a justification to break encryption or to mandate backdoors in technologies. While we do have a fairly good overview of surveillance laws that are being passed in various EU member states, we have little to zero public knowledge about the offensive cyber capabilities of member states. How are they used, for which purposes, and in what way? And this lack of knowledge creates an obvious accountability gap and potential risk. When governmental agencies discover software or hardware weaknesses that are unknown to developers and their users, they are faced with a basic choice: to disclose or not to disclose. In the United States, agencies disclose approximately 91% of vulnerabilities they discover, while the remaining 9% are patched by the vendor or retained for quote-unquote operational use. For me, the loss to information security by not disclosing a vulnerability is so high that it can only be exceeded by monumental gains in other security interests. Equally, the disclosure of vulnerabilities without subsequent patching is a net loss to information security. Now, there might be very good reasons for agencies to hold on to a vulnerability for a limited amount of time in national security interests. But the bottom line should be that they cannot be the only actor to make such grave decisions. An accountable and transparent decision-making process is needed in order to preserve the rule of law online. A vulnerability equities process that is based on a transparent and standardized set of criteria and procedures can help. Such processes must also clarify the responsibilities private companies have, because the private and the public interest are not necessarily aligned. At the end of the day, resilience of societies and networks does not benefit from vulnerabilities, neither in software nor in policy or legal procedures. Thank you for your time and attention. I wish you a fruitful conference and look forward to seeing the results.